I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:14 PM of tonight's meeting. Stand up, pledge allegiance to the flag, if you mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank all our veterans for their service. I guess I'll mention that we're being recorded now. The video recorder has been fixed. Is there anybody else recording? Good to see anyone.
No, sir.
What we got going on tonight? Shannon's additions or deletions. Is there, Colby?
No additions or deletions.
I don't see any there, thank you. The chair's report, nothing to add. We should review and approve. Did anybody have a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Just finishing up now.
Okay, I'll give you a minute.
For me, I will mention one of those meeting minutes. The meeting had a problem recording, so the first 7 minutes, there was no audio.
No audio?
And actually, the rest of the audio was pretty poor. It was a short meeting at that.
And, yeah, that was one of the quickest meetings. Mike, you still have the other meeting minutes?
I have the April 9, I never got the May.
All right, I have April 23rd. I didn't see May either. Did you have May's last week's minutes?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, May 9th and May 23rd.
Okay. Good to go. AC is on.
Doesn't feel like it, does it?
No, it's a little stuffy.
You know, if you prefer the windows open.
I know that thing's working pretty hard, but I'll tell you what, it's probably better with the windows closed, is trying.
Okay.
You all set?
I'm good.
Did you have a chance to review them?
I already did.
Oh, okay.
She's all set.
All right, well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 9th, 2025, and April 23rd of 2025. Anybody second
I'll
that?
second it.
Thank you. Let's take a roll call vote. Mike Prostad.
Mike Bussard, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
James Duran, yes.
Pat Demal, yes.
Thank you. We also have a nice little welcome. We're going to welcome Pat Jamolio back, I see. Going to
Stick around for a
stick
while.
around and bless us with your company for another session. Until you move.
If the 20,
Third.
Well, that's wonderful, Pat. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How long is that appointment going to be for? 2 more years?
Yeah, at least 2.
Until, good.
Pass this out, see if anybody'd like to take a quick look at this, just a letter that, Colby has prepared for some people in town.
You also,
And also, the select board has voted the Conservation Commission to act as the town's agent for the purpose he brought forward to resolve the encroachment issues with the Dudley Road town property. We intend to put the lot into conservation, and that can be worked out. Thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Kevin, that is in the agenda, right?
I believe it is, isn't it? I'm having a hard time with the old agenda here. Where is it?
I don't think it is in the agenda to
I don't see
read, but it is, isn't it in the
Where is it?
agenda for review to the commissioners, Toby?
Yeah. Is this tonight's? Amended agenda, June 11th. There should be 4 or 5 of these up
I
there.
don't know. I don't even have one.
Maybe right there.
Yeah, that's the agenda.
You got one?
Oh,
Four.
amended
All
agenda.
right, so there you go. That's
Oh, there you
the
go.
one for tonight.
Oh, these are
June
both
11th.
amended.
I think you have them right there.
Yeah, there's
June
two,
11th.
two for June 11th.
If you want to
Oh,
pass them to the other side of the table.
Yeah, great, thanks. You know what? We
We're
never,
moving
we
forward.
never, signed in or present at the beginning of the
All right,
meeting. We're
we'd like
supposed
to hear
to
an
say
agent
present.
report from Colby if he has a minute.
And sometimes in the Robert's rules,
I
you
can get
should.
recorded better. Everyone in the online can hear it.
Kev, just-
All our fans.
Just a quick note, you should have done a roll call.
For the approval of the minutes?
No,
No,
roll
at the
call
beginning of
to
the meeting.
initiate the meeting
In the beginning,
in the beginning.
that's okay.
We have said started, so I think you could call it now even, or be
For attendance.
for a roll call vote. It's
Oh,
just,
yes.
Just to cover it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to take, we need to
Nice
take a
job,
roll
man.
call vote for tonight's meeting. I'm sorry, I skipped that.
Mike Potts had present.
Kevin Smith present.
James Tony present.
That's one present.
Thank
That's
you.
okay.
He's new.
Sorry, I missed that one too. All right, so agents report. I'm gonna start with,
Dude.
real quick, we got the grant submission submitted for the Nashua River Wild and Scenic Stewardship Council. I know we were talking about doing 2, but I was only able to get 1 in, and that was for a survey of properties on New Fitchburg Road and Alyssa Drive. The one for the conservation restrictions is gonna, there's gonna be more work. It wasn't gonna happen in time.
Which one with the conservation restrictions are we talking about?
West Meadow Road. So,
Is that the one that had some verbiage incorrect on it? Or if conservation is in control of it and fund?
yeah, well, one of the properties does not appear to be under chapter 40 subsection 8A.
Yeah,
One is. So they are still both town-owned properties, but one of them is gonna have to be brought to the select board to be transferred to the care and custody
of
the Conservation
Conservation Commission.
That'll put it into the right.
So it's a changing of verbiage on the heading of who is in control of it, and it's going to go into our coffers,
Yes,
conservation.
Yeah.
So Victoria's working on it, Adam, select,
I have to get a letter to them stating it. So it has to go to the select board, just asking for them to transfer.
that's what's holding us up to go onto West Mountain Road to get that surveyed through Dillis and Roy.
No, that's already been
Okay.
surveyed.
Okay, because that's what I was going to. I knew we did the 20.
Yeah.
And the Boy Scouts are gonna blaze it shortly.
Yeah.
The other one, they can't proceed forward with the blazing and marking and everything. Does that hold it up? That's where
I
this
don't
was
think that
going.
holds it up.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't see it holding up.
as long as you have that paperwork in motion.
Yeah.
We're not, because we've got them, they can do it, let them do it.
Yep.
Awesome. That's it. I took too much time already. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
You steal my thunder here too. So, let's see. I'm still pursuing the conservation restriction up there that would join those two properties. Mike actually helped me out with this. We stopped in at, is that 102 or 104? That was 104.
Yeah.
We stopped in at 104,
House
West
with
Meadow
the
Road.
pillars, the long driveway up to the top.
Yep, we spoke to, I had to go back later because, it doesn't matter. I stopped by the house and asked the new homeowners if they would be interested in
Right.
having a conversation about it. And it was a good conversation. I left
on that. They're new
literature.
homeowners. They haven't been in there long enough to even walk their property yet.
So it'll be some follow-up to it. I left them a literature explaining conservation possibilities on the property.
But you said he was open to the concept?
She seemed very open to it. She wanted to speak with her husband later.
He wasn't
and-
there when you went back?
No, but I'll touch base with them in another week or so. Yeah. Also pursued 102 West Meadow Road. There is no building or structure on that property, and the homeowner lives in Westford, Mass. Richard and Kathleen Waterhouse, and I left them a message, and I'll have to pursue that more.
When 102, is there a house?
There is no house?
So it's presently Walsh's, it's an open lot right now.
Correct.
I'd just like to make it a note that I think it was too early for anyone from conservation to go to 104, seeing as all these people haven't even unpacked their bags.
Okay.
There's a time and a place for everything for that type of an approach.
When is
for
the
this.
time and place then, James?
I would assume to let them acclimate. I would like to even get a moment I already met her friend. She stopped down to see me at the house. Very nice people. I just think
When did they move in, Jim?
weeks ago.
Well, it's done. The first step is done.
No, I
They have
just
some-
leave it as a
they have some
no. As
literature
a
to read.
commissioner, I think
They
it's a
can
little
start
premature
absorbing
to
it.
go knock
Yeah.
on people's door.
Well,
Okay, I got it. So noted.
They can start absorbing it, and, once they get settled in, maybe
See, we're gonna-
they'll reach back out to Colby and wanna move forward to something, Jimmy.
We'll move on to the interdepartmental reference forms. We have one for 12 Scorpio Lane and 28 Beach Street. Both are septic system replacements, and there's no wetlands involved. You guys can look at the site plans if you like, but there is also through Permit Link, that's the building department's online website for approving projects. 12 Sagittarius Lane has a carport being built, and there are no wetlands involved with that project either. Okay, site visits. I visited Willow Street and Sumac Drive, which are near the Emery Drive subdivision. The town owns two properties there, which,
They did not get auctioned off?
no, these are very wet. One is actually part of the Bixby Reservoir right
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and another one is a small wetland. It's open water
Yeah,
with a small border around it.
Yeah.
The reason why I visited them is because I see that possibly there's a better use for them if they are transferred again to the custody care of Concom, because they could provide a potential public space to that neighborhood, which doesn't have a lot of public
Yeah.
space or open space.
doesn't really have any, does it?
No, it
They're
doesn't.
all half acre lots.
Bixby's in Harbor.
No, Bixby's off Emery.
Yeah,
There's two
so
lots over there that were just basically water, just doing no good.
and neither one allows for a whole lot, but it could be a garden or a meeting area of some sort.
And that wasn't some of the property that I went up for auction
No, it
on.
wasn't what our auction, they're just a couple of lots of basically worthless.
Yeah.
And I visited 61 Edward Road too.
Took photos of the collapsing culvert on Route 19 at the same time, as well as the debris on 61 Edwards Road. I met Mike Morris, who's the owner, discussed the violation with him. I had a very positive meeting with him.
You said violation. We're not in a violation with that, is it?
It was brought up at the last meeting.
Yeah.
You look into it. Is there a violation that was drawn on that?
You wanted me to write an enforcement letter to that,
There's kind of same kind of things going on.
Yeah.
Everything's going
and
on.
I say you as the commission.
And, so
No, I'm quite familiar with it.
Oh, yes, you are very familiar with it.
So you made contact with Michael?
I did, and the encounter I had with him was very amicable, and he was willing
And he's
to accept help for cleanup.
He has been biting at it.
He certainly has, yeah.
I mean, kudos.
The pictures that I have of it do not show much because everything's overgrown now, and covered up by all kinds of vegetation there. But there was a couple, a roof and a couple tarps, plastic.
That
That were
got over
visible.
the edge.
Yeah, and I told him I had to make a time to arrange to go and help. So,
But he wrote that note, very apologetic note. He had some kind of,
there was a short note.
yeah,
I didn't print that out. I'm gonna bring his letter over.
I think he said there was a health issue and he's gonna clean it up as soon as he could.
Can you check the agenda, see if 61 Edwards is
I
down?
don't believe it is.
It is, yeah.
All right, do you want me to bring it back up and read the letter then, or just cover it now? Because we're kind of half into
It's
it.
down the
Yeah, yeah.
bottom, but we can do it.
All right.
I
I don't think that's a problem.
That's, yeah.
He's not coming tonight, regardless.
We're gonna be doing a lot of stuff out over there tonight. We're gonna bring Pat back.
Getting back to, that might be a good time to approach the Boy Scouts to go over there, give him a hand with that cleanup. Did I hear you say something? You volunteered to
Yeah, I told him I'd go and help him myself, so. And he
look
was-
into
He's
that?
Yes, and
Yeah.
there's factors that I don't think should be mentioned.
No, it should not, anything of any,
He mentions as much as he wants here, so I'll read what he wrote. It was short and sweet, but very positive. To whom it may concern, my name is Michael Morris and I reside at 61 Edward Road. In January of 2021, I had a medical episode that left me unable to care for my property, and as a result, it became very unsightly to some. I am currently removing the items and the cleanup will be completed shortly. I would like to thank you for your patience, understanding, and help in resolving this issue. Michael Morris, 611.
I gotta tell you, that's great. Jessica almost went 2 years sending registered letters, no response.
It costs us a fortune.
And we had gotten to a point of almost $28,000 levied in fines.
Yep.
So I'll tell you, Kobe, that's great that Michael responded to you, but I think breaking the ice, I have
Yeah.
seen him.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be, from what I have encountered with him, it's gonna be a
He
pretty smooth
always took
sailing.
a great deal of pride in his property. Michael always took care of it. Are the ducks still there?
He mentioned the ducks. Sure did, yeah. Yeah, and he's very concerned actually about the culvert there, and he should be because it's caving in. I know it's on the MVP grant list to be worked.
It's being I think they've got an expedited status on it,
Great.
but I'm sorry, I think Mass DOT's way behind, and it has to show a little more catastrophic before they.
It's close to it.
There's some pieces of granite underneath that are.
Broken, the lids are broken, cracked, so.
All right, next site visit was 23 Shirley, and the new property is 25 Shirley Road. I looked at the silt fence, this was NOI that we have.
Yeah.
Did a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I looked at the silt fence there, the wattles and signage that they put up. I've never seen a better job done. It was really,
He's a good kid.
scarified really well, wattles were placed really well.
Was
Silt
that,
fence covered, bottom of it was covered, so it was great.
Who's the customer?
John
Oh, Johnny
Arajo.
Arujo, that's right, Johnny Arujo, yeah.
Yeah.
all right, that's the site walk you guys had sent me out. Chris was doing the engineering on that.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
On that, I do have the budget report here, and you can look at, Kevin, yeah, I think it's good, have to go over it with the, chairperson, in place. But you guys are welcome to look at, there's nothing out of the ordinary
Our
on it.
budget as far as what we got in the WPA and our,
Where all our
Coffers.
money is, all our expenditures, yeah. It's there.
that's interesting. What,
There's a couple,
how do we do? How are we doing?
on that, while you're looking at that too, I have one question about a due on there. It's for a membership. It's a fairly pricey one. It's MACC, the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions.
For our classes?
With not particularly for the classes, but we have a membership.
Fee, you gotta pay,
Yeah.
the town's gotta pay a fee.
Yeah, and there is
To be in the WP,
the MACC.
MACC, but we usually pay that through our WPA account,
I think that is what it says on there. Yeah, that rings a bell.
okay?
Okay.
That is traditionally, we draw from the WPA to suffice for our dues to keep our open door for all our classes, for all our commissioners.
Yeah.
So traditionally, over the last 15 to 16 years, I've always seen it drawn from the WPA account, which I was curious to see what's in the coffers.
Okay.
Does it,
I have one question about a charge. Maybe you guys have some insight towards it. There's an additional $60 per year for additional memberships. Does anyone know what that means? It says each additional person, associate commissioners and staff is $60. And if we don't need that, I'm gonna get rid of that.
before you get rid of double check to make sure that doesn't put us
Certainly.
behind with MACC. Now, we don't, if we get any new commissioners in, we want to be able to get them to their classes and get it online.
Okay.
You did online, correct?
No, I went to
You went down to
Worcester,
Worcester, you went
Holy
down.
Cross,
Holy Cross.
yeah. It was great.
This just came to my
It's a
attention
nice school to
today.
go to it in.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of stairs.
I'm gonna call and certainly follow
Just-
up on this, but I didn't know if you had any.
Right. It's usually
Know what that's
Michelle
meant.
Gerard you would talk to at MACC, right?
Yep.
Michelle
Uh,
Gerard? She could've-
Suzanne, there's a Suzanne,
All right,
yeah,
could have changed.
all right. Other than that, do you want to introduce Valerie? Is this a good time or later?
Yeah, I can introduce Valerie Goodrich. I'd like to introduce to the board Valerie Goodrich. She is our new liaison from the select board.
Yeah.
Get stuck with me. So,
We're stuck with it.
so I just wanted to say hello and tell you, just to remind you what liaisons kind of are here for. I probably won't reach out to you guys a lot, but feel free to reach out to me about stuff anytime that you feel would be important for me to bring up with the select board, and I will do that. Like,
Yeah.
we did recently. That's what I'm here for. Especially if you don't feel like you're getting a prompt response in town or something like that, please do that any of you can. I'll pop in a meeting if you really need me to. It's not a problem. Just let me know if you think it's really important and I'd be hear the discussion. Otherwise, if you can just kind of, someone who's ever in charge of meeting minutes and agendas, if you just CC me so I know kind of what's going on. And like I said, if you think there's something that's really important for me to be here, just let me know and I'll try and work the schedule. But other than that, that's kind of how it rolls.
Wonderful. Thank you, Val.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely happy to help. And thank you all for volunteering for these positions. Like,
Yeah.
big bucks here, right?
How many years you
Find a
got,
couple
Jim?
more commissioners.
Yeah,
16.
we'll try.
Jim's got 16 years, and I'm gonna do, but I got 30, almost 30 years in town. with the
How many-
Properties and,
What's your maximum number on your board?
I think we should be at 5.
Well, no, we're still down 2.
7, 6, 7.
no,
I'm
Yeah,
not used to a
1,
full
2,
board.
3, there are 5 of us now, and,
7?
yeah,
seven, it'd be a seven-member
We're
board,
down
I think
two.
it was full.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard today for people, but people just don't wanna get freely their time anymore. It's sad, really.
But I think, like Cool said, I think go ahead and talk to people one-on-one, that's a big effect, you know? If you know someone, just ask him. You know?
Kobe?
Yeah. Like you said, you know, you go talk to someone in person, and it's.
Yeah.
Now, you were able to make heads or tails on all of that in the budget, or did you go through the whole thing to figure it out? Because some of that stuff is
No,
foreign
I'm
to me.
constantly going down to our accountant and asking questions because it's not straightforward.
So have you reached out to FinCom to get help? Because I was wondering if they could be, because some of that, I'm like,
Honestly, she's the person who knows best.
okay,
Like where our money is, how it moves around,
all
what
right,
it's eligible to be used
because
for.
I'd be asking some questions, right?
Yeah, and she's taught me a little bit, so it can be,
We can,
some of it we can discover ourselves.
yeah,
Like if, there are funds in here that say SEM for special town meeting, we can go to that, meeting minutes and look up what the funds are actually for. But
some of it, like I said, just cruising to a quick is like foreign.
when it gets to grant money, the account numbers get a little bit, funny. So
Meaning if it's,
our code is 171
yeah,
generally.
yeah, okay,
But like the
Meaning
Wild
it-
and Scenic Grant Fund, that's under a different account and different code, so it gets a little bit not obvious.
in the general fund, in the
Yeah. So, yeah,
keepers of cash.
whenever she's there, I'll ask her questions.
Has she been good about,
She's wonderful. Yeah.
good?
Okay, next.
I'm done with my answers.
So we're good with the agent's report?
We finished with agent report, go?
We're a little bit out of, we moved a little bit out of order here. We basically did 4.0 for the most part.
Yep.
Should I read it off? That was.
No, you wanna just,
61.
close it out?
Yeah, I don't have anything further on that.
Okay.
I gotta give you credit for that, cause it took us years to get to Mike.
Yeah.
So for you to get that response,
It seems like he was caught at a particularly bad time, like physically, so, and kind of, I think some bad sentiment started from that, so I think, moving forward, it's gonna be more minimum. It's gonna be more pleasant.
I tried hard to help him out, keep things going, but and he's been in contact with Rebecca Morse also from Senior Citizen. There's a lot of programs that can give him assistance. She's
Is that
on,
family? Okay.
Rebecca is in charge of senior citizens, assistant programs for people that are disabled, people that need help, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, I recognize the name.
She's been in contact with Mike too, which is good. She's huge. All right, where are we going next? 2
We'll be doing them out of order. 3.2, do I need to read that one off again? I'm gonna go out of order here, Colby, but,
Yeah, right at the top.
right at the top, I'm just gonna throw 2.0, hearings and appointments. 2.1, notification letter to Shepherd Farm Inc. and Ann Ray LLC Representative Gary Shepherd. Appointment at approximately 7 PM. Parcels involved, 34-18-0, 33-47.0, and 34-21.0. Potential violation, Wetlands Protection Act. Regulations, CMR 310-10.00, and Townsend Bylaws Conservation Commission, Chapter 150, Article 2, and Squanicook River Area of Critical Concern, Chapter 145, Article 41, to be discussed.
I think you should read the notification letter right inside the cover there.
Oh. Which, this is, what he's gonna read is the copy that you sent, landowner?
I did.
This is the cease and desist?
No, this is not, this is a notification letter. Trying to take a step back from the enforcement letter.
This is a letter to Shepherd Farm Inc., parcel 34-18, lot 0 and 33-47-0, Henry LLC, 3421-0, representative is Gary Shepherd, 55 Main Street, Townsend, Mass. Hello, Mr. Shepherd. The Conservation Commission is requiring your attendance at the next meeting scheduled for June 11th, 2025 to discuss violations of Wetlands Act, CMR 10-00, Townsend Wetland Bylaw, Conservation Commission Chapter 150, Article 2, and Squanicook River Area of Critical Concern, Chapter 145, Article 41, on the property stated above. The enforcement order has not been ratified. In the spirit of cooperation and preferable option to issuing an enforcement order would be to discuss a plan that would bring the properties into compliance with the WPA and Townsend bylaws while addressing their agricultural intentions for the properties. If there's a valid forest recutting plan for any of these properties, please present it. The regulations are not easy to read and interpret, which makes a discussion regarding them necessary. We share the same ambition to contribute positively to this town. It is my hope that you will appear at the Conservation Commission meeting scheduled for June 11th, 2025 at 7 PM to discuss this matter. If there are any questions or comments you would like to be addressed, my contact information is 597-1700, extension 1733. Email is csstreeter@townsendmass.gov. Signed, Colby Streeter, Conservation Agent, the Town of Townsend Conservation Commission. Is this just a copy of that?
Yeah, it's just a copy.
Can I have one of the copies, Kevin?
You want to explain anything in the folder to everybody?
As it stands,
Give it narrative, whatever you like.
The property in question, I did not attend the site visit. That was attended by, I believe, James, Pat, and Mike.
you're completely familiar with the property at the same time.
What's that?
You're
I'm
completely familiar with the property.
I'm absolutely familiar with the property. However, I was not in attendance. Did I say I wasn't familiar with the property?
Well, my point being, you're familiar with the property. Had we called for a site walk? Was there a site walk?
No, that guy got confused because.
Okay, hang on, let Kevin keep going. So my point being, there was never a site walk that the commission was called. This meeting came up in discussion last week, is it not correct? We had to discuss the property, right, Kobe? Our last
Are you
meeting?
talking about site visits? Right now?
Yes,
Okay, so you did do a site visit.
we had the
You
two
had set it up.
commissioners that hadn't gone out there at this meeting had no idea what was going on. So that's why we had to move from last
That's
meeting.
not true.
Yeah, it is. I had no
I
idea.
had read the letter and enforcement order at the prior meeting.
I didn't know it
Meeting
was
an
a site.
enforcement order is not the same as calling the commissioners out for the sidewalk.
Which
To
got
acclimate.
muddled up, because you went and took the bull by the horns, and you set it up yourself. You did 2 site visits apparently, right?
I had to,
Individually.
no, if you're asking me to explain to you what I did, I will. Are you asking
I
me?
know what you did. Because,
I took 2 commissioners that had no idea what was going on in the meetings.
yes,
I took them out
when
singular,
I told you
one
that
at
I
a
was
time.
going to organize a meeting.
A meeting and a
I told you
sidewalk is
to,
different.
And then you very bluntly just did it yourself, when you knew that a site visit was coming.
Wait, first of all, I think the site walk should have done before anything happened. If, you know, if you notice something,
No,
then
no.
at the next meeting should have been a
That's
site
not
walk.
the way an enforcement order works when there's an
And-
immediate necessity to cease and desist something.
Because I had no idea what was going on.
Michael,
Well, I'm curious, because I should try to go, before tonight, I did try to go back and get the archive of the meeting so I could, and I was wondering, did you in fact read the letter to us at a meeting before you sent it out?
No, because it was immediate action.
Okay,
There was,
okay.
the meeting was, well, I'd have to go back and look at how many days ahead it was. But there was a machine sitting there with a mulching head mowing right up to and into the wetland. That kind of situation, I cannot wait for the next meeting, which was several days to, it might have even been more than a week down the road. In that kind of situation, as the conservation agent, I can issue an enforcement order. And that's what I did. And the purpose of that was solely to stop that activity, which it did. And the way the process goes is that at the next meeting, it's supposed to be ratified. We didn't have a quorum to ratify it at that meeting. And it just, the errors just kind of kept going from
they
there.
did a lot of errors, snowballed. Asking the landowner to come to the meeting. That was one part of that bothered me. Second part about it,
Why didn't
is,
I
well,
ask the
better
property owner
communication.
to come to the meeting?
What's that?
Why would the property owner not be asked to come to the meeting?
If I'm in violation, I'm gonna wanna go to the meeting if there is any discussion of it.
Right.
Okay. What about the posting? There was a lot of
The
inadequacy.
homeowner was
This
given
is yours,
opportunity
Kevin,
to
but
come
there was
to
a
every
lot of
single meeting.
inadequacy, so.
I know in the past when something like that has happened over the years, usually in the past, the agent has reached out to a commissioner.
Of course.
So
In
call
this
us by cell phone,
situation,
we all have cell
the
phones.
chairperson, I knew, had to recuse himself from the situation. I think another member should recuse himself from the situation.
Another chairperson
No, another member,
Commissioner.
commissioner.
that should recuse themselves.
I do believe that.
You should make
But
point
then
of it then. Feel free to make
Even so,
point of it
that
if you feel
I'm
it's,
not required to get a commissioner's consent to submit an enforcement order.
correct.
It's your prerogative to ratify or not ratify at the next meeting. That's,
Which is where
If you
we are at right
But
now.
it had been,
disagree. I'm getting to that. If you disagree, then you just don't ratify it. You throw it out.
Which is where we are now. We're proceeding into that
We don't,
phase right
I've
now.
spoken with DEP about this enforcement order, because it was, I made a mistake, I own up to that.
You knew at it
No
also.
one's perfect, Goldie.
You knew.
It is, in the, just the growing time between when it was issued and now, that it's basically, voided that enforcement.
Is that the
We
prudent
don't have to vote,
verbiage
on-
you feel?
you don't have to vote on it or take any action on it.
No, what I'm asking you, is that what you feel would be the prudent verbiage to complete this and get it
Take no action.
completed? Do you want it to be
That's what
voided, take no action,
For the
owner is in
enforcement order, yes.
compliance?
It's
How,
already invalidated.
and we didn't have 60 days, is that right? I thought there was an amount of time?
Yes. I would double check that, but that's the.
I'm not sure that.
I'm not comfortable when you say, I think
Correct,
it's 60
but
days.
maybe
I
I'm
think
just
we've
misunderstanding
exceeded it
it.
already.
Well, before the letter, so the letter was sent before we
We're not talking
had,
about an enforcement order right now, anyway.
the letter was sent before we had a chance to look at it, correct?
I'm sorry?
The letter was sent before we had a chance to look at it.
Which you,
Correct.
Well,
Okay.
we just
So
explained
so
we
I'm
can do that.
wondering, if it may have been less reactive, because I'm guessing the reason that Mr. Shepherd isn't here is that he's ticked off, okay?
I don't know.
And he doesn't, yeah.
We
Maybe I'm
can't
wrong.
answer that,
Yeah.
but we can make assumptions. Let's move from that.
Okay, but what about a call to him to stop? You know, that seems to be in violation, a call to him instead of that letter. That seems to me that letter is, in one sense, appropriate, but in another sense, kind of stronger than maybe necessary. I don't know.
But we gotta take another moment and appreciate what Colby's responsibilities are. And his ability to, as you said,
act quickly.
and get that notification of a violation. Think what this funnels down to. I think Kevin, me, we're all concerned that as commissioners, we were somewhat in the dark. I try to be current, I try to get into the office, and let me further this in point. Had you said to me, Jimmy, I'm close to sending out a violation, quick conversation, call me, Jim, Kev, whomever,
Or I just happen to see this, like, I happen to drive by and this is what I do.
we have, a lot of us have good connection with, and we could try to intercede, take a positive approach so that we don't put somebody in violation for something that can be resolved quicker than even a letter, and just as effective.
The violations are pretty clear.
Correct. Indeed.
But in the meeting, when, in our discussion, the consensus was pretty clear that you were against, enforcing any of these, regulations.
Oh, I don't think I don't think there's any ambiguity,
Right,
that we're not ambiguous to taking and enforcing
I
them.
think
We
that
feel as though there's a better avenue to resolve.
in my
And I disagree with that. I want to be.
Oh, that's right, that's when you stated
On the votes.
favoritism and such as such. You don't want us to
agree with
move
the
forward in favoritism?
handshakes.
Well,
That'll be
let's-
addressed also.
Excuse me, let's try to move forward
Well,
from that.
The fact, I tried to see exactly what the violation might have been, and there is ambiguity in here, things aren't clear, there is some fuzziness, so, but when what do I know about when a farmer mows the edge of his field, which he has the right to do? He's got that privilege, according to the rules, okay? So the question that I had was, number one, it's a simple thing. Is he really is he a farmer?
Well, pretty clear.
Are you a farmer because you own agricultural land that's zoned agriculture?
Good point.
Okay, so anyone, if that's true, then anyone who owns a field that has been an agricultural field is technically a farmer and can violate the rules. So we don't know if in fact he is a farmer. I'm assuming that maybe since that field has been mowed for a century or however generations,
Which we're familiar
that is
with.
probably agricultural, but is it truly zoned agricultural? I don't know. What do I know about trimming edges? I watch these boom mowers on the side of the road, and I see how far they go, and I get a sense, okay, so that's trimming, that's pretty, I have a sense in my mind of what it would be to trim an edge of a field. And when I went to the field, surprised? No, shocked at how wide he had trimmed. So in my mind, when I read this, it's like, yep, he has the right, if he is a farmer, to trim, but he doesn't have the right to expand his field. And is he just trimming that wide because he wants to really keep vegetation from encroaching upon his hayfield? Is he trying to expand the field, slowly expand it? Is it he's getting back to where the field might have been historically 50 years ago? Who knows? We don't know his motivation. All I know is that was a heck of a lot more mowed than I thought. And I didn't bring a tape with me, but one corner was perilously close, maybe over the 35 foot.
35 foot.
I believe
zone.
that, isn't that rule 25 foot?
Okay, there's
There's a couple of different
So on
interpretations.
riverfronts, there's a 25-foot area.
No disturb.
Area of no disturbance.
From the bank of the river, there's a 25-foot area that has to be maintained as natural vegetation. That's on property that is under agricultural use. They have a commodity that they produce.
Well,
He
it
has
is
to be able to
one.
claim that commodity on his taxes. And he says that what he's growing there is part of the income. You can have, if you're gonna claim agricultural exemptions, like such as normal maintenance on field edges, you have to submit a forestry cutting plan. It's a forestry cutting plan because forestry is considered in this term, in this sense, agriculture.
Forestry agriculture.
And
correct,
none of that has been done. Now, we're looking at 3 properties down there, and there's multiple areas where no permits were submitted. There's no, there's another conservation plan for agriculture.
Yep.
CP.
Yep. Yep.
That has not been submitted.
Yeah.
And as of a few years ago, that was standing trees down there. There was no cutting plan for the removal of those trees.
Most of that,
And he,
So
so,
I think what you
There's
had is a
another-
narrow strip left because the power company came down through, remember? And they mowed that right back. And then the rail trail came through, they mowed their strip
Finished
back.
there.
And all you had was a strip like as wide as this room was. So, is there enough there to file, is there enough, there to even file a cutting plan? I think you can take, is it 5,000 board feet without filing for cutting plan?
correct,
Uh,
25,000 board feet.
25,000. So, and I think that there wouldn't have been
On
nearly
a
that
forestry
in
cutting
the strip that
plan.
was left, you know?
I
So there
understand,
is, I'm with you,
but
Colby, I get it.
all of the claims are kind of dubious, though. I don't see the necessity to mow right into the wetland down there.
No, I
Well,
have to,
is-
I agree, and Mike had very legitimate points as to what he saw. That's why the reins got pulled, the machine is removed from there, and the next process, in my humble opinion, is to better educate the landowner to what he has to do if his choice is to pursue any more clearing, cleaning, culling, et cetera, et cetera. He needs to either file for his forestry cutting plan. Is he gonna be in forestry agriculture? Is it claimed as
It is not.
Field.
At this time.
agriculture and what? And as I explained to you and I showed you on my property, my open space area that's in 61A, my other wooded area that is in forestry management, which gives me and allows me a great amount of flexibility in clearing, cleaning,
See, so that property isn't under 61B currently at this time.
We're presently investigating that to get a definitive answer from the landowner, so we can best advise him to say, any more activity in that area, you're gonna need an NOI,
Yeah.
a RVA, you need to present Mass State Forest or cutting plan, et cetera, et cetera. Until these things are achieved, nothing happens in there. But you gotta understand how landowners and farmers proceed sometimes. Not always a perfect picture. I feel as though we have done a
I
good
think I
job,
voiced that too, that
indeed.
it's a messy process. It really is.
It is, it's a good learning curve
He's a
right
good-
now
he
for
is,
us.
he is a good farmer. He's a good steward of his lands.
But I will say, more forethought should have been given here, because, I'll mention again, it's in the floodplain, it's in the ACEC, it's in priority habitat. You know,
Everything
riverfront
that
area.
could be wrong was. Everything that could be,
And now,
was.
the situation is that, you know, a lot of the trees have been removed that could help with the floodplain.
in other words, you refer to the riparian area of the floodplain, et cetera, et cetera.
I can bring it up on the GIS if you want.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
at this point, it's a moot point.
Yeah. I had gone through this whole thing that asked certain questions and come to the conclusion, which was basically your conclusion. But what I would add to it, perhaps, I don't know, even though he's clearly in violation, you were right in being very concerned. I wonder if, and I know you'll disagree with me, I wonder if the cease and desist was the appropriate first step, maybe a call. I'm not going to argue with you.
I don't think that's the discussion that should be had here. The appropriateness of the actions that I.
Well, appropriate, or let's say in this situation, the one that would have gotten
The
results.
properties.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, okay, I
But I
understand.
understand.
Yeah.
Do,
But I will say that I didn't see damage to the wetland. He was close, but I didn't see damage. So if we're gonna send a letter, and maybe this is how, we end it with what you just said about if you're gonna do anything in the future, you have to let us know. You were in violation. Fortunately, it appeared that there was no damage to the wetland, but in the future, you're gonna have to do all these things.
No, there's a responsibility. Pat, I'd like to hear from you.
Would you like to give us a little insight?
Would like your input on some of this. You were out there, you saw, you understand what we're discussing.
Yeah,
You
I
are up to
do,
speed.
and, he was in the wrong, he didn't have some of the knowledge. I'm sure he thought he was doing okay, but now some of this can be pointed out to him.
Correct.
That, he needs to follow up, he needs to, see what he wants to be into, to be able to do that land. And,
Maybe put that
so
land in the 61B,
there's,
the classification is not.
It can go everywhere. I started reading up on my docs. There's a lot of fragments onto it.
Oh, I know it's.
That area is also, Kobe, I wanted to bring, what you did is not wrong.
No, I'm not.
That's your
no
job.
one's saying, yeah,
And if you didn't do it, the other one that's gonna get kicked in the shin, and we're only gonna say shame on you. What you did was your job. Period. There's no argument there. My point being, it's try to work with landowners. Do the best we can communicating with our commissioners. Find out if there's a better, even quicker than a letter like that for resolve. Because I think ultimately, I want to see this resolved and voided today. I want to sit down, have a good conversation with Mr. Shepherd about really his responsibilities, if he even wants to continue in that direction. But there's a need of it also. Those trees need to be looked at because they're in fall direction of that rail trail. So there's a degree of maintenance that needs to be done on any landowner of those trees in those areas. We need to focus on invasives. I showed you what I did on West Meadow Road to what it used to look like to the other side where the other owners won't do that. We cannot do it at the moment. Where is the success in that? You know what I'm saying? We've made a beautiful maple grove production. We've removed all of our invasives. We brought more habitat into the area and lots of good maples, so it's a win-win if it's done correctly. Educate, we need to educate better, but and I'm gonna say it again, you did your job.
Yeah, there's no,
And you can't waver from it.
It was my intent
You
to
can't.
cut the commission out, but there was a timeliness to it and difficult relations, difficult situations here, so.
Yeah.
But also, I had fully intended on conversing, with Mr. Shepherd more, but the first conversation that we had, very aggressive, and so it didn't, I was made to be, uncomfortable discussing.
So you talked with him?
I mean, you talk about.
I can
doing
understand,
things with conversations,
Colby,
phone calls.
I can understand where you're coming from. Nobody wants to have a conversation and someone say, I'm not having a conversation here, you can talk to my desk. I get it. Hobbs, I got you, you know what I'm saying, right?
So you talked with him or attempted to talk with him before you sent the letter?
No, I've sent
Right.
emails
Sent the
along
letter
with
first, okay.
letters. And I've received them.
And perhaps his attitude, and I don't know what his personality is like, but perhaps his attitude was a result of the forcefulness of the letter and he doesn't get it.
well, I think,
Kevin and I know the nature of the beast. And Mike, beautiful observation. I think we're coming around again.
farmers can
Are we
talk.
learning, can this be a good learning curve for us?
Yeah.
Can we find ways of making better connection with all our landowners? But we still gotta do our job too. And I'm gonna say it for the third time, you did your
Oh,
job.
you did
I agree.
that,
Going through this, I can recognize that, there's some public education that needs to be done here for myself as well, because I've learned a lot through
All of us,
researching all this.
all of
I
us.
intend on having a forum where any property owner, but I'll certainly try and get the agriculture community involved to go over how the Wetland Protection Act and our bylaws relate to their agriculture and the exemptions that
Yep.
they are
that
allowed.
would be a very good thing.
But
Bring
again,
the ag commissioner.
our commission, I just wanna, it is about protecting the Wetland Protection Act and towns and wetland bylaws.
Yeah.
We need to keep that, perspective in mind.
And we as a commission need to make sure we protect you too. From harm's way, help you with the knowledge of the areas. That's like when I take you out, Kobe, look at this, look at that. Starbucks, for instance, I don't know if you would call them, they have a wind gate up there now. They have a 6-foot fence right across that wetland area, so nothing can blow in there.
Yeah.
Did you communicate to them?
I did not.
Good for them. But you see, and as Pat had brought up Edwards Road, you made connection with them where we couldn't do it in 2 years.
And
I
with
just don't know
respect,
how
with
people
respect,
go out there.
with respect as well.
There's a
Colby,
reason. I'll talk to you later, but there's a reason.
Those folks that just moved in up on the West Meadow, you planted the seed. Granted, they haven't been there long, you planted the seed. Now, they may reach out to you in a month or two, or in another month or two, you might be able to reach out to them. By that time, they're all settled in, but you planted the seed, so, you did everything right.
What was this, 104?
On this situation, again,
Stay on,
you gotta.
it's really been.
We have to get Mr. Shepherd to the table and start, getting him, going down the road where he does have the forest cutting act, or, excuse me, forest cutting plan, or he is properly pursuing those agricultural exemptions.
Correct.
But I-
And staying in the parameters.
Yeah, and I don't think, we do have some power there to illustrate how sensitive that area is and a adequate buffer there is.
Well, I think we're probably, moving forwards, I think we're gonna, like you say, have a forum. Invite the farmers, you're gonna be the three of us,
Kobe made a point, I gotta,
and,
You'll be there?
uh,
Yeah, all right.
but Kobe, you made a point.
because
We
we're
gotta
all,
get
we're all,
the
we're all
agriculture
guilty.
commission
We're all
going
guilty
on
of
this. That's gonna be an important factor in situations like that. Once that commission is going and operating, Charlie, all these other farmers, it's gonna be good for you to come in and sit on some of that, so you can get a better feel as to what levitation we as farmers have. Road maintenance, tree removal, fire prevention, invasive species removal. Is a litany of different things that I can do within the rights of agriculture that would you said, no, you can't. Oh, yes, I can.
So
There's an education issue going here. And I think we can bring the landowner up to speed. We can move in a good, positive direction. So when you pick up the phone, hey, how you doing? I'd love to come down, and you know what I'm saying? Instead of going in another direction. I think we can improve relations with all the farmers in this landowner, and we can move away from this in good terms.
So who writes the letter?
I will,
You will?
with your help.
Well,
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
I said that
so,
100%. My knowledge is there. Your finesse is there. And you have that.
so it appears that,
Your finesse.
it appears
Okay.
that
Just
the
let, yeah,
that
let me
the
know when you want to
board
do it.
is wanting to move forward to nullify this at this point.
The enforcement order,
It is basically void now.
Void.
Yeah.
So,
this is new news. But yeah, I would look at the letter that is in front of you as a new document.
Put it under the file.
It's unattached to the EO, really,
all right,
and it's in your ballpark, what direction you want to go in. As far as, so there's no action, you can, of course, there's the other end of writing an enforcement order, or there's all kinds of middle ground.
I think. How does how do the three of you feel about,
I'm ready to make a
you
motion.
wanna, to avoid it out for the time being and.
I
avoid it out.
don't know voiding it, I just don't know. He's in compliance. He's aware of what's going on. We all are aware what happened. The area is gonna regenerate. There wasn't any stumping, any large amount of removal in there from when that machine was in there. Everything will regenerate. I'm not sure if we're not gonna ratify it. I think we should just vote to void it, take it off the docket.
Then write the letter.
Correct.
Right.
Now, Colby, what verbiage would you be comfortable with for it to suffice and everyone moves forward?
It would be very similar to the one that's written there. Yeah, I mentioned the regulations that have been,
Of our bylaws.
our bylaws that have been violated. And then a process by which, maybe,
In the future, for,
the words are escaping me, in compliance.
Correct. So that would be him getting in line with his agricultural status,
Yes.
his forestry, his cutting plan, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Now, I did a little more research. I was told Amadons had always had that in forestry. And they were,
Well, it always was, it was a wood lot, it was a wood.
right. I'm trying to find out, does this transfer, when one landowner buys that from a land, do those? I don't
know the answer to that.
I'm looking at it to some of my docs, so if I were to sell my property, that landowner would have to take responsibility of forestry, agriculture, open 61A forestry, et cetera, et cetera. It does not transfer.
I almost believe that you have to go down and sign up. We bought some
Correct.
properties.
My quick words from my friends were, it does not transfer.
So this is the most recent forest cutting plan.
In that area, Kobe?
Ambrose? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Hayes Road, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ambrose
This is-
what? Company?
corporation.
Oh, that's not
This was-
Shepherd's property, right? This is,
It is now. I don't know who Ambrose is. Anyway, this is from 2014. This is the most recent forest cutting plan on
on file?
all three of those.
Okay.
It's the only one I could find. Now, being from 2014, so it's just a forest cutting plan, it's not a management plan.
It's different.
It's invalid. It's
Yeah.
old. He
It's
has to,
different.
depending on the direction he wants to go in, he has to,
File,
well,
submit,
with the help of DEP or DCR.
Yep.
Because
I think it's DCR.
DCR does forest cutting.
Correct.
I contact the service forester.
Yep.
And it's not uncalled of to have a forest cutting plan be written retroactively. This is kind of a stretch to go back so far, but it's possible. But, they would know.
It is possible.
It is, yeah. I don't know how far back they go, but,
Good question.
they would have guidance and advice as to.
Yes.
Usually the cutting.
What would satisfy.
Yep, I'm reaching out, I mean, it used to be Downey, Johnson, I don't know who our new George is getting back
I
to me
can
on.
give him, I can give him the name and number of the gentleman, young guy, service force,
Communication.
really,
Yeah,
really knows.
Educating them.
good forester, we're working with him now on a piece of
Yeah, you know.
property.
Is it-
Colby,
DCR, or is it, who is it under
DCR.
DCR? Right,
yeah.
not, okay,
Not,
correct, I know what you're gonna say, don't.
well, it was Chuck Burner and Ashford. Chuck was a forester.
Ashford.
Yeah, then there was, the most recent guy. can't
I haven't
think of his
spoken.
name. But now this new guy, the nice kid, I met him on a piece of property that we own.
Now
We're
he's
working
Mass
with him now.
State,
Yeah, there's a nice, he's very thorough. He picked out a little spot on one of our properties, half a mile away, wasn't it?
now is that
He
the
done his
site you
job.
walked,
He walked it.
Kev?
Yeah.
That's the site you two walked already?
It was a site that I own,
Correct.
that,
Correct.
we're gonna do something with at some point.
Okay.
So
But with
We're
respect
gonna
to the
make a
state
motion?
forester, he was a nice guy.
I'm ready, Mr. Chairman, would you like a motion to
If
move forward on
you'd like
this?
to make that motion, that would be,
No.
fine.
All right, I'll motion that we presently void this enforcement order, and that's that. That's the only thing I can say on this. It's to be voided. There was too many mistakes.
And if we can add to that, in
You
the
can.
future, the landowner, will do a due process to, reach out to the forester and get that property, under a forest cutting plan or forest management plan.
Yeah. But at the same time, we have agriculture in there.
Or agricultural forestry, which may be what
It's
that
not
falls under.
agriculture. There's two different status. You gotta, and you can put them into two.
Well, be 61A or 61B, or whatever it's gonna fall under.
So there's an educating curve to the landowner. I cannot speak for him, but I feel he will come on board and be more than willing to work with us. Open lines of communication, I will act.
So are we gonna send a letter to him stating the different things that he should look into if he wants to continue to be able to cut? So that he
Well,
knows
I think-
exactly what he
I
should
think we
be.
could draft up a letter, with Colby's help to, have the board draft up a letter with Colby's help. letting the landowner know that in the future, he should get that, property into agricultural forestry,
Yes.
61A, 61B, get it in a management plan, and, that way it'll fall under the jurisdiction of, DCR conservation
Right.
for the timber harvest, future timber harvest, or harvest timber in the future.
Should that be part of the motion or a separate motion?
I think
already put it,
I'm comfortable with voiding. I
for this,
think
yeah,
just-
just,
Would separate those motions?
Do you want to? Would it be?
I think you should.
Okay.
I think it would be
Clear.
etiquette to do as such, as Kevin separated.
I believe, that would be good to go.
All right, so we'll go
So you made
forward
a motion to,
to
you made a
void.
motion to void that, enforcement order. or
And I'll second it.
That's all. All right, now we're gonna vote on that, then we'll go to the next one that we wanted to
We got a
vote.
second on that motion?
Yes, I
Okay.
second it.
Mike Foss said yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
James Strong, yes?
Pat Gentle, yes.
Okay,
That
so we're all
takes care
set with the enforcement. The next thing,
Would be,
communication aspect to the landowner.
yes.
To bring him up to what his needs are gonna be, either an NOI, RDA, get himself into a forest cutting plan, have him registered as agricultural, open with the hayfields in agricultural forestry, in the cleaning, removing of invasives, and tree culling for safety aspects also. That's another thing I saw and I'm concerned about. When you have a rail trail, he has trees in excess of 100 feet that if any of them were to fall in a windstorm, and someone's walking down,
Mhm.
there's gotta be a degree of overgrowth and proper, you know what a tree's like when it's red, it looks great on the outside, but it's red and dead in.
Yeah.
We know it, you've seen
No,
it.
no, I know. That's
So
what I'm saying.
Toby, would you be comfortable if we use your letter for the pertinent parts of it and amend it to some of these other things?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And I'll work with, in the future with Kobe on, because I want to get the Agriculture Commission up and running and moving, because I think they would be a good part of this in educating yourself.
Always educate
On and on it goes to landowners, because there's a lot of landowners do not understand some of the abilities they can use in agriculture status. I've said enough.
So you're gonna have to make a motion on that.
Correct.
Alright. So,
I mean, I'll go so moved on the rest of this, and we can vote on that. I mean, is that,
so that's
Need
your
a
motion.
motion to,
You made the
amend.
motion, James.
right,
Alright.
to better educate landowner, bring it up to speed with, it's gonna have to be NOI, RDA, et cetera, et cetera.
in
Never
a,
think of, I think would be an
in
NOI.
a,
Gives him much more flexibility.
All right, I second that.
Okay, Colby? You got that?
I got it.
Alright.
I mean, I'm gonna rely on recording.
Alright. Thank you. Boy, that's gonna be confusing.
okay.
Alright, I'll need a second on
I
that.
already did.
Second.
Good point.
Oh, you seconded,
I
okay.
did.
Mike
Mike
Foss
said,
said yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
James Strong, yes.
Pat Gentle, yes.
Okay,
So moved.
so moved. Motion carries.
Nice job. Okay.
Moving on.
That was said like, that was powerful. I mean,
So
could
we
have gone a
already did-
little
we-
deeper voice on
Do we
that.
need to go back to, do we need to go back
No.
and, to, 303.1 and reappoint Pat? No, okay. We kinda got it earlier, but I think we got
It's
it.
tough to separate the agent report from what's on the agenda.
Well, I didn't count it.
I'd also like to nominate Pat as the Commissioner of the Year award, because when we had to take Walker
So
across
this
that
was
30 feet beam,
No,
when people walking you to get to that
No,
walk.
I know that, but this was an example to use.
Honest to God,
Get through that.
I didn't even bother with it. I'd already been out there. Good luck, you guys. And they did. They walked her
Oh, yeah.
across this
Oh,
beam.
yeah,
To get,
This is
I was there.
probably the
Okay.
most important.
right?
Pain and all, but I
Everything
went.
outside the regulations.
The hurricane too, that was the good one.
These are just.
You know, it's so funny,
Probably
conservation.
copy and give to him.
It's, uh,
We can copy and give to him.
it's just,
Now, what else we got going on here? Well, that's the same thing.
That's the EO there.
What else we got?
What are the little pamphlets they put locking equipment?
What are they
What are
like
those
that,
for?
That's the DCR specimen, I think.
And
Yes, yeah, that one.
is this the 2000?
That's the new way right there.
Alright,
I'll tell you what, can we make copies of these? This would be wonderful to have
ooh, this is,
for people.
Yeah, and
You should
everything's
have
in
one of
that shared
these.
folder too, online,
Alright.
but I'll make copies.
That would be great.
I got one of those 30 years ago, that's when I first got forestry what is forestry agriculture? Cranberries, maple groves, on and on.
And this is just, this goes with us.
Are we on 829? Ice cream factory's gonna be closed.
Where are we now on the agenda?
I think we're,
We got through this.
Dudley Meadows.
Can't believe I said that.
I got a little lost with Pat's nomination. appointing.
Commissioner of the Year award. It's like we went, remember I showed you where they were doing all that stumping for that cow barn out on North. Remember we went over that other customer's house and I showed you where they were doing, and we went all the way down back to
Yes.
that's where they had to walk her across two people on both sides, that
Oh,
she's
yeah.
on a balance beam, just to get across the ravine to get, I'm like, I wouldn't have even bothered walking it, no.
Well, that gets through that, so we got through, 4.5.0, education and conferences. What do we got, COVID?
Not much upcoming.
Okay, what do we got going up for next meeting, 6.0?
Maybe we will make it to the last meeting.
Much on the plate?
Well, I will have the letters written up, they'll be sent out to Peter J. I will have those, hopefully I can get those folks in here in time. I can get everything out, all the documents to them, I can get them here for the next meeting.
Now, does everybody get a letter of Peter J? I had thought I'd ask that.
Not everyone
Only the people that,
are
That are butters to that.
and that's from
Because the
the
first
slideshow you gave us 2 weeks ago, right?
Because the houses on the right, they don't butt up to the common land, correct? Oh, no, the end ones
They
do,
do.
right?
The other
They
ones
do.
The end ones do, and then the houses to the left.
Yes, they do.
After you get past the,
Five houses maybe that are bought,
5 out of the 8,
There's
whatever was in the 10.
vendors, in varying
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah.
The first one being the,
Chicken coop,
yeah.
that's the one I like the most, you know?
Is there any more site visits pending?
No, unless you want to do a site visit.
Yeah, were you into
I think I
sidewalks or
should get the
something?
letter out to them first, but that will require a site visit
Which one?
over there, Peter
Oh,
J.
Peter J, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
Now, once
Well, yeah,
again,
when you got chicken house on the property, right? On the
Yeah.
common land.
it's a nice one too, if you really look at it, it looked high efficiency, Anyway, question, I don't know if you can answer it, who answers it, maybe Al, the own.
Well,
If we
liaison.
go out on sidewalks, Kobe has to set up the sidewalk, it has to be approved in the meeting. So when we are together, more than one of us, we're not in a quorum. That's why I had to take Mike out separately and not the three of us, because if I was out there on a sidewalk, I'd be in a quorum, correct? And I'd be in violation if it wasn't a sanctioned
I thought
sidewalk.
But site visits.
Site visits, you just don't talk about.
If everyone's, invited to it, it's different. It's on a site visit, you're there to make observations,
Yeah.
make notes, ask questions of the property owner if they're there. But you're not there to deliberate, share opinions.
No,
That would
we
be
know
a
that.
violation of what would be
So yeah, you can't discuss
Yeah.
discussed.
writing about a violation you want to know.
but I guess my question was, when I got nervous and I didn't want to take Mike and Pat out to show them down on the rail trail what we were looking at in violation, I did not, I wasn't sure, so I did everybody separately.
If I would recommend Colby, maybe get an official letter from town council explaining when you would be and when you wouldn't be at site visits. That would
Okay,
be my recommendation.
or,
Just so you have it with you, because I know a lot of people in town are very strict about open meeting law violations.
sure,
And so
That's-
just so you have that from town council to say, this is when it applies, when we go for a site visit, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do.
I understand the discussion, I understand
Yeah,
we're
but
there
just
for,
having that.
but I wasn't sure if we had,
Already, actually.
Because we've done where there's, you know, 4 or
Yes.
5 of us have gone.
right,
Right, but this was an unusual circumstance.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
mean, yeah.
just was,
It was better to do the way you
but I
did it.
wanted
That
to
way
make
there's
sure
no-
the commissioners were up to speed with what we were gonna discuss at this meeting. Because if they weren't, and you two hadn't gone on the sidewalks, we're spinning our wheels again, and we would have gone backwards. You understand what I'm saying in that regard, Kobe? So that's why Jimmy said, Jimmy, go ahead, take them out. Bring them up to speed. That's why I took them both out, and that's why I had to do it singular. Because I was told we would be in quorum because it wasn't a sanctioned or a set up sidewalk.
But it was
Say the
safe.
same visit though, it's sanctioned. If I advertise it, if there's email traffic on it, saying it's a site visit, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But last week,
I would have to get permission, written permission from the homeowner
okay, I did.
in the situation.
I had permission. He knew. I said, I gotta take the commissioners out there. I gotta bring them up to speed. You know what he said?
To,
Okay, do what you have to do, Jimmy. Done.
I gotta know.
It would take pictures.
We should have.
Moving right along.
We do have a town property.
Pat's about ready to say something.
Excuse me, folks.
Go ahead.
Moving right
Are
along.
we moving?
Town properties has a meeting coming up next Monday.
For what is that?
We are reviewing all town properties. If Colby has recommendation to make the selectmen, he can attend
Yeah, I'll get on that. This coming Monday?
this coming Monday, yes. I think it's the 16th. I'm not sure.
What? What's going?
It is the 16th.
You're a selectman. You should know what's going.
You have my inbox.
Yeah, right.
Thursday night's about trash, I think.
What's that?
There's a meeting about
So,
trash.
we got, let's move
On the
forward.
what, the
I
bag
think
picking up?
I think Pat would like to retire for the evening.
Yes.
That's the public forum between the Board of Health and the Finance Committee.
And it's here, right?
Our next meeting is scheduled for June 25th, 2025. It's Article 7.0.
Now, what's that?
8.0, would you like to take a, would you,
Ice cream
can I
break?
make a motion
I motion
the
to
meeting.
adjourn.
of,
A second.
Second,
Mike Potts at second.
June 11th.
All in favor?
Mike Potts said
Aye.
yes.
Jim Dorian, yes. Kevin Smith,
Yes.
Pat Jamal, yes?
adjourned.